This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by ShireExchange.com. I'm standing here with Mike from Manchester, who's just fresh back from a successful operation to try and save taxpayers a little bit of money. And you did it in an unusual way. You stopped them from having to get pulled over by the police or having to get searched by the police. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, you know, I wasn't the one that set it up. Somebody else did, and I was one of, I think, about 10 people that were actually there that night. There was a Manchester Police Department had a sobriety checkpoint set up on Chestnut Street, right downtown here in Manchester. It started maybe about 10 p.m. I think on Friday evening and went till about 2 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Basically what they were doing is they were flagging every fifth car and talking to them, see if they could smell alcohol on their breath, and see if they could flag them for any driving while intoxicated charges, or if there was anything wrong with their car, like a cracked windshield or broken tail light, or driving on a suspended license, or if they could get them out of the car and they had weed in their pocket, you know, whatever they could to make arrests that night. But they did it under the guise of a sobriety checkpoint, so we decided what was going to happen is a bunch of us would meet close by the location once we were able to determine where it was at. We made signs that you know, notified people that there was a police checkpoint ahead and gave them the opportunity to turn away before they actually had to go through it.
What's your main problem with sobriety checkpoints?
Well, I have two big issues with them. The first one is that I don't believe that they're done, you know, under the guise of safety. I mean, you couldn't find any of us out there that think that drinking and driving is an okay thing. But we do know that they use that as a pretext to be able to stop people for other trivial, victimless crimes that are used to just generate revenue for the state, and they use that money to continually hurt other people. I have a problem with that. The other thing that I have with them, at least myself, is that I believe it's conditioning to get people used to just, you know, saying, hey, we need to have this happen because it's for our safety, and they get people more in a position where they're used to violating or, you know, waiving their own rights. So.
And you said that you're going to try to get some stats to find out how badly they did that night compared to other nights, if maybe they actually made fewer arrests and were able to get less revenue.
Right.
You're going to be able to get those records?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, chances are I'll have to fill out, in New Hampshire we have like our own Freedom of Information Act. It's called the Right to Know Act. And you basically fill out a form letting the government agency know which records that it is that you're looking for. All of that stuff, I believe, would be public information. And we'll be able to get an idea of, you know, how many arrests were made and, you know, for what arrests were made, and from that we can maybe gauge an idea of like what the fines would be, what the penalties would be, and then compare it with the last couple of these checkpoints that where these things happened, where we weren't there to warn people ahead of time, to find out how much money we were actually able to save taxpayers by doing this.
Right. Now, what would you say, you know, the folks who are going to disagree with you on this are going to be some.
Yeah, we got a couple that night.
What's your sense of what the main opposition line is that you're getting? What are the main concerns you're getting on the other side?
Well, a lot of people, you know, they truly believe that this is done for their safety. But, you know, a couple of activists at the event made the comment that for the amount of money that they spent setting up this checkpoint to pay the officers, we're pretty sure that it was overtime pay, but I'll find that out when I make the actual records request. The amount of money that they spend setting up this sobriety checkpoint, they could have paid to take all drunk people home from just about every bar in Manchester and get them home safely. So if it really was about safety, then they would do that. You have to also remember that this is like an obscure street nearby the downtown area where a lot of bars are, but not many cars go that way. They have multiple directions to get back home, so they're not stopping everybody. They're just stopping a small percentage of people. And if it really was about safety, they would do something that would affect everybody, I think.
Can you think of some kind of a solution that would address both your concerns and the concerns of the folks who support the checkpoints?
Well, you know, I know in Michigan, where I'm from, there are a lot of bars that will voluntarily call a taxi service to come pick somebody up that is obviously way too intoxicated to drive, and they promote that service there. I don't believe that is taxpayer funded. It's not every single bar. It's not a, you know, a mandatory program that the bars are supposed to follow. Just a lot of them do that because they, you know, they're in the business to sell drinks, and if their customers get too drunk and go kill themselves in their car, they're not going to have a customer left. So.
any other ideas you can think of that might address both sides?
From just the drinking and
Sort
driving?
of like a win-win solution. That one sounds like one, but can you think of any others?
No, not off the top of my head.
Yeah.
That's just the first thing that came to my mind. I'm sure if I gave it some thought.
I'm guessing the police would not like that because they don't get as much revenue that way.
You know, at first, you know, a supervisor rolled up to me and just kind of made the comment that their signs were better than ours. And another activist, you know, said, well, if we got to force people to pay for our signs, then, you know, we'd probably have pretty good signs too. But, you know, and he just kind of like tried to make light of the situation. About midway through, they decided that because there weren't a lot of cars going through, they joked over the police scanner that they were going to take a break so we could all get a potty break, and you know, which was we thought was kind of.
Well, you know, when I was out there at one of these a couple of years ago, they brought me water.
Oh, really? The police
that was
did?
really cool. Yeah.
Well, see, there were people that drove by. You have to understand that 95% of the people that actually made the turn on the street were able to turn out of the way, but we were guiding also people to not even turn onto Chestnut Street from Bridge, and those people were so appreciative. Thank you so much for doing this, guys. Hey, are you guys doing this for free? You're volunteers? Can we get you some water?
Yeah, I mean,
it was great.
The intake tank at the Valley Street Jail was probably more empty than it would have been otherwise. Although, you know, like I said, I mean, I don't really like the idea of drunk drivers, you know, getting a pass. Right. But the problem is they're not just targeting drunk drivers.
No, exactly. And you know, not the people that were turning out of the way. Like, I just don't want to get hassled by police. You know, I could see that somebody saying, you know what, thank you, because I would have thought it was an accident and pulled up there and then been stuck in the line for, you know, an hour or so and had them asking me questions and give me a hard time.
It's not their time, it's your time.
Well, true.
All right, well, thanks for doing that, Mike.
Yeah, no problem, Dave. Thanks a lot, bud.
Sell yourself to the Shire. Become the hero of your own mythology. Attenuate your inner sanctum. And heed well the Celestina prophecy. ShireExchange.com